So we're talking all about what it's really like to be a project manager, okay? The good, the bad, the ugly, all the pros and cons, what a day in the life looks like. So if you're interested, then stay tuned. Hello YouTube family, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christina and this is Cultivated Chrissy. Now in today's video, we're talking all about what it's really like to be a project manager, okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly. We're getting into those pros and cons, okay? And then we'll wrap it all up with what a typical day looks like, okay? A day in the life. So let's jump right into it. So let's start with the good, okay? Some pros. Well, the first thing is that it challenges you daily, okay? That's what project management does. No 2 days are alike. And I remember being in one of my previous jobs and every day was full of these monotonous tasks, right? Things that really didn't involve much thinking, things that didn't challenge me or stretch me. And I remember going to my boss and straight up saying, I need to do work that involves thinking, okay? I need to feel challenged. I need to feel like while I'm here, I'm growing, right? That's important to me. And I feel like project management definitely does that, right? Again, no 2 days are alike. Every day is a challenge. You're thrown into situations where you need to problem solve, right? You need to work with people and investigate things and all of that. It throws so many things at you and it really does allow you to stretch and grow. Okay. I'm definitely not the same person that I was, at that job or at previous jobs, right? I'm not the same person I was, even 4 or 5 years ago. Why? Because project management every single year, every month, it's a new challenge. It's something that's going to stretch you and grow you. And so really does allow you to build some valuable skills that you're going to be able to use throughout your career, right? And that can only help you move up and meet your goals, right? So project management is definitely wonderful in that aspect, right? It challenges you and allows you to stretch and grow. So that is number one. So the second pro on the list of good, right, is that this job is extremely rewarding, right? You are able to take something from concept to full scale implementation. And at the end of all of that, you have something that is tangible, right? Something that you know that you were the lead in facilitating from concept to implementation. And that is a wonderful thing. For me, I'm in healthcare, right? And so for me, a lot of the times at the end of a project, patients are who I end up helping. And that really is rewarding, right? For me right now, we implement services that allow people to have better access to care, right? They don't have to worry about the financing of it all. We're able to implement this service line and they're able to access the care that they need without having to worry about the financial implications, right? And so for me, doing projects like that, it's extremely rewarding, right? Because at the end of it, I can help a mass amount of patients, right? I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be a pediatric surgeon and that would be more individualized, right? But with public health and project management, being on the back end and really implementing projects that can help a mass amount of people is super rewarding. So I really do love that. And if you're in other industries, you're doing the same thing, right? If you're in tech, right? At the end of it, you're building a software that's going to help people as well, right? And you can see that and feel that in your hand, right? You're actually, building something. And it's the same for a lot of other industries. So you definitely find value and reward, and comfort in what you're doing and how that's impacting others. So really love that about project management. It's definitely a rewarding career. So my next pro, right, is that project management is multi-industry, right, which leads to multiple opportunities. I remember being in the PMI chapter meetings. That's the Project Management Institute. It's also who I got my certification through for my PMP. But I remember being in the chapter meetings and there were so many PMs from a lot of different industries, right? I'm in healthcare. There were tech PMs. There were those that worked at NASA. There were those, so that's aerospace. There were those in communication. There were those in banking, fashion, right? There's so many different industries, right? And all that means is that there's just so much opportunity. Project managers are needed. Whenever an organization wants to implement something new or improve a process, right? Project managers are who they need to go to for that, right? And we're skilled in the job of taking something from concept to full scale implementation from beginning to end, right? We have that expertise. And so it's needed in so many different industries, really in every industry. So much opportunity there. I personally find it really good to stay in an industry, right? Because of course we have the technical project management knowledge, and we don't need to be experts in everything, right? As a project manager, we're really a facilitator, right? Of people that are experts. But I do find that starting to gain the technical knowledge in the industry that I'm in really does help me to learn and grow, right? And be more of a contributor to my projects, right? It helps me, having that background and knowing how a hospital works, right? Knowing how patients, how we help patients, all of that really starts to help me be an even better project manager. So I do find that it's really beneficial to stay in an industry and move up within that. But you definitely don't have to do that. Okay, again, in that PMI meeting, there were people that were just consultants that hopped around from multiple different industries, and you could certainly do that as well. But so much opportunity, so many different industries that we can work in. So my fourth pro is about leadership, okay? The role of a project manager really naturally primes you for a leadership position, okay? You're managing multiple projects, managing a whole bunch of different types of people, various levels, right? From C-suite executives all the way to frontline staff, right? And you're demonstrating project management skills, you're demonstrating leadership skills, control, right? Strategic thinking, problem solving, all these different skills. You're demonstrating them and really mastering them in the role of a project manager, right? And it tells your leadership, right? It tells your organization, this person can lead, right? You naturally go from leading just projects to multiple projects, right? To managing programs, right? Where there's multiple different types of projects within that program. You manage other project managers and then departments, right? It naturally leads you into that because you're honing in on all of these leadership skills that are required to do your project successfully anyway, right? But they also fully align with what is needed to be a great leader, okay? So it naturally primes you for that. You just need to do the role well, right? And really demonstrate these skills to your leadership and also vocalize that you do want to move up, right? And when you vocalize that and you're doing the work, you're absolutely going to be able to move up, right? And I definitely think having the industry knowledge helps you with that as well, because you demonstrated all these skills and you also know the job and you know the industry, and that definitely primes you very well for a leadership position. So let's get into the bad and the ugly, okay? These are the cons. Definitely things that I don't like, about my job all the time, right? Definitely things that make my head spin, but you definitely have to take the good with the bad. So let's get into some of these cons. So my first con is the chase. And what do I mean by the chase? Well, 80% of your time as a project manager is spent communicating with people, and you're communicating with them in multiple different ways throughout the day, right? In person, on the phone, Teams messages, emails, and meetings, all these different ways of communicating, right? And you're doing this with the goal of making sure that you are aware of where your project is at all times and that everyone else is aware of where it is and what they're supposed to be doing to move things forward, right? That's the goal. And so you have to make sure that you're communicating so that you're on top of that, right? And it's so nice when you have people that are so on top of their task, they know what they need to do, when they need to do it by, and they get it done, right? You don't even have to reach out to them all the time. They are so on top, they'll reach out to you, okay, and tell you this is where I'm at, this is where I'm having complications, on top of communication, right? Most of the time, that's not it, right? Most of the time, you have to chase people down, okay? Constantly asking them multiple times throughout the day, multiple times throughout the week, where is this, and you really want to try to help them to stay on top of the communication so you know where things are and can get ahead of it, right? And you have to handhold people sometimes, right? And that can be really frustrating and annoying, right? Because, everyone has a job to do and you would think that people would stay on top of their role and what they're supposed to be doing, what they've been assigned. But sometimes that's not the case, okay? So you're chasing people down for stuff, which can be very frustrating. Not all the time, but definitely something that you're going to have to face as a PM. Not going to be your brightest moments, okay? But you have to get that done. It's vital for your projects and moving things forward. So the chase is definitely the bad and the ugly, okay? So the next con, and I guess it really is all about perspective, right? Because you may not see it as a con per se, but it's something that can cause you to feel overwhelmed, is that you need to be 10 steps ahead at all times, okay? I talked about this before. You want to make sure that at any point, if anyone asks you where your project is, that you have the answer, right? You know what's going on. If something is causing delays or something is at risk, you're already ahead of why it's at risk, right? Why it's causing a delay and how you're going to fix that, right? You've already communicated with the team, right? The worst thing that could happen is that you have a leader come to you, right? A C-suite executive come to you and ask you what's going on with this particular thing, and you have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, you don't want things to get to you last. You need them to get to you immediately, as soon as possible. Okay, so make sure you know where things are at all times. There are definitely things that are going to go wrong on your project, but as a project manager, it's all in how you handle it, right? And being 10 steps ahead allows you to have the preparation in place to be able to handle things as they go wrong, right? So talk to your team, make sure you're communicating, and make sure that you're finding solutions and documenting those solutions along the way, right? That will allow you to be 10 steps ahead. So I also talked about this in my top 10 tips for project managers video. I'll link it in the cards, but you want to make sure that you're prepared, okay? Being 10 steps ahead is all about preparation. Every interaction that you're about to go into, right? Every meeting that you're about to have, make sure that you prepare for every one of those interactions. You look over your notes, and you'll be able to look over your notes if you're keeping really good documentation, right? You're documenting everything, but make sure you're looking over everything, you're communicating with people, documenting it, looking over everything, and before you go into every interaction, you're already prepared, okay? That will help you to be 10 steps ahead, okay? That's the formula. So my last con is all about managing different personality types, okay? Now, this is something that can definitely be challenging, right? But over time, you'll be able to develop a strategy for how to deal with the different personality types, right? Once you're able to recognize who you're dealing with, okay? So let's talk a bit more about that. Some people are really independent, right? And some people require a lot of hand-holding, right? There are those you only have to say something once to, and some people that you have to tell them 10 different times, right? Those who like really high-level information, they don't want to get into the weeds, and some people who need the details in order to function, okay? I'm one of those people, if I'm being honest, okay? So many different types of personalities, and throughout time, right? Over time, you're going to be able to recognize who you're dealing with, right? And you're going to need to do this in order to move things forward. You're going to need to know how to manage people, right? And help them to move things forward, right? So we don't get stuck. As a PM, sometimes you're a facilitator, sometimes you're an educator, right? And sometimes you're a psychologist, right? If I'm being honest, you have to wear multiple hats, and you have to do anything you can to help people move the project forward, right? That's the goal. And so you'll definitely be able to do that over time. Like I said, you'll start to recognize, okay, this is the type of person that I need to meet with every morning, right? I need to schedule a 10-minute call and meet with them and say, what are you supposed to do today? Let me hear you tell me what you're supposed to do, right? How are you going to do it? All of that, and kind of handhold them through it, right? Some people you're going to say, every day I have to stop by your office, just pop my head in and see what's going on, see if you need help, right? Some people are going to have to sit down and strategize and tell me how we're going to complete these tasks, all of this, right? You'll start to recognize the different personality types versus other people that you don't need to sit with at all. You need to check in with them once a week, right? And you know that they're going to move things forward. You'll start to recognize that. It'll become 10 times easier over time, but it can definitely be a challenge in the beginning. So with all that said, let's talk about what a typical day in the life of a project manager looks like. So first thing I do when I come in is check my emails, okay? Of course, you're going to have your organizational emails that are being sent out, so you want to go through those right in the first few minutes of work. But then you also have your project-related things that you need to address as well, right? Tasks that have been completed since your last check-in, fires that may need to be put out, right? Questions that people need answers to right away to help move things forward on their side. So definitely come in, check your emails first. Next thing I do is check my project plan, okay? So I'm looking at what's due today, what's due this week, okay, what's upcoming, what is late, all of that, right? Any challenges or risks or issues that have come to fruition or we're thinking are going to come to fruition, and what the mitigation plans are for those things. I'm taking note of all of that. And I usually like to put that in a weekly recap email. I send those usually on a Monday, just so everyone knows this is where we are right now with the project, right? What's due right now, what's upcoming, what's late, right? And any challenges that we're facing and things that possibly need to be escalated, right? So make sure you're taking note of that, because it's going to help you in your actions after that. So if you are on a project that is better suited for a project stand-up, right? Then after you check your project plan each day, you want to go into your daily stand-up, okay? So if you're doing a daily stand-up first thing in the morning, make sure you check your project plan before you go into that meeting, right? It's all about preparation. So again, you're going to do that. Check your plan, go into your daily stand-up, usually lasts about 15 minutes, right? And then after your daily stand-up, you want to go back in and update your project plan, okay? Also, if you have a weekly status meeting, again, check your emails, check your project plan, and then you can go into your weekly status email, right? Knowing where everything is at, right? Then you can go into that. So again, after whatever status meeting you have, right, whether it's weekly or daily, you want to make sure that you're updating all your project documentation. So your project plan, any reports, dashboards, all of that, you want to make sure it's updated, okay? We want to keep things together, right? Keep things up to date. Then I go into all my follow-ups, okay? This is a huge chunk of the day. We're following up with people, again, all those channels that I talked about, Teams, in person, on the phone, via email, whatever the case may be, we're communicating with people to make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing, right? That they're not experiencing any issues. They're going to be able to deliver what is expected, right? Within scope, on time, and with the resources that they have been provided, right? So that is going to be the goal of those conversations, and you're going to have many of them throughout the day, okay? Again, this is the 80%. So this is a huge chunk, okay? So after you have all those interactions, all those follow-ups, you're gonna update your docs again, okay? Again, we're making sure things are documented very well, okay? And then you're gonna go into your admin work, right? For the rest of the day, right? This is meeting minutes, meeting agendas, presentation decks, reports that need to be developed, all of that. Your admin work, if you need to be sending out reports, right? You're gonna be doing all of that during that time as well. And obviously these things could be kind of mixed up and jumbled up, but that's usually how it flows. So that is what a typical day in the life of a project manager looks like, right? Especially once you have your project in motion and you're trying to move things forward, right? Not a whole bunch of different things, right? Key things, communication, admin work, keeping your documents updated, and it kind of goes in rotation, okay? That's what it looks like. It does take a lot. And again, so many skill development throughout that process, but definitely valuable and rewarding. So hopefully you found all of that really helpful and really gained some insight into what a day in the life of a project manager looks like, our pros and our cons, the best and the worst parts of the job. It can definitely be rewarding, yet challenging all at the same time, but I absolutely love it and wouldn't trade this role for the world, right? Absolutely love what I do. If you're looking for any other videos about how to master the role of a PM, check out my channel. I definitely have some things on there about how to get into the field if you're interested. Top 10 tips for how to be a PM, right? What are those key things that you need to learn, terms, all of that. Check it out on my channel. I've also linked some videos down below. If you're a project manager, then definitely comment down below. What are some pros and cons for you about this role? Like this video if you found it helpful. Subscribe for more videos about how to master the role of a PM, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.